the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside.
Welcome to the new show, Just a Bit Outside, with your host, Chris Camozzi, and co-host, Matty Ghost.
Hello.
My name's Chris Miller, and I'm just here to observe and give my 2 cents because Matt is really the sports geek here.
I love sports. I mean, you can't stop from talking about it all the time.
How'd you feel about the game last night?
The just Avs game. By the way, the Avs, of emotions.
We live in Colorado. The Avs won last night. Go Avs in overtime, 4-3, big time game. Matty, your analysis on the game on Just a Bit Outside.
Everyone looked good. The team looked strong. Yeah, they were passing it around, and I didn't think they were going to do it, but then they did it.
It was a really, really good match.
It was a great hockey match.
Who won the match?
So, Chris, this is our inaugural 30-minute sports recap. What is the idea behind the show?
Man, I think the idea is, you and I talk sports all the time, but
let's clarify talking sports. Him and I will text each other mean shit while we're watching UFC or
talking shit,
other sports. And then, I'll get a Reddit thread, and that Reddit thread is like, look at this fucking guy talking shit. And that's how the idea of this show started, was him and I talking shit about the other people talking shit about people doing sports.
Yeah, I don't know anything about sports, but I love talking shit. So
you know what?
Here.
I love the idea of this show because I also hate modern sports analysts.
Well, everybody's a sports analyst now because with the internet, social media, and Reddit, we're coming at you, you fucking noobs.
Yeah, who's that douchebag that has the microphone there and talks on ESPN2 all the time, Dan Matrick or
Dan Mattress?
Yeah, Dan Mattress, dude.
Yeah, I bought a mattress from him last month. It's a good deal. It's already fucking worked.
Dan Mattress.
We could make this whole show talking shit about Stephen A. Smith because who likes that?
That's what I was saying this morning.
He's the worst.
I don't even know who that is.
So, anyways, yeah, did you catch the Avs game last night?
I did.
Hope you did. All right. I mean, I caught most of it by the time I got home. But yeah, it's awesome. We're obviously from Denver, seeing the Avs back in it. I know you remember probably the glory day of when they won those back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Yeah. And it was always Detroit would come into town, and it would be just absolute chaos.
Yeah, and so the game last night was at home. I don't know if you saw, they had a whole outdoor section set up outside the Ball Arena, I think.
Which Grizz is playing on Saturday for free.
Oh, really?
Shit.
Yeah, which would be rad.
Yeah, the next game's Saturday, huh?
I don't know if the next game's Saturday, but Grizz, if you're not from Denver or like electronic music, then then you wouldn't know, but Grizz is a big deal.
This is my topic, finally.
Yeah, he's a big producer out of Denver, and he's just the shit. And he's playing a free show at Tivoli Square, which is where everyone was partying last night for the game.
Which is, I love it backwards. Tivoli is, I love it backwards.
The more you know.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. I love it backwards. So, yeah, if you're in Denver or not, who cares? This is really, you probably won't even hear this before it matters anyway. But Grizz is dope, and Tivoli Gardens and the Avs.
Yeah, so last night, Avs win in overtime. What was it, 4-3?
Yes. Yeah. 3-1 in the first.
Yeah, that's when I saw it. I was like, oh, we're fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop watching.
Start playing D&D.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay came back with, second period, 2 goals in 48 seconds, which is insane.
Amazing.
Especially in a Stanley Cup, that's got to be...
Final, away.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look it up, but that's got to be a record somewhere in there or close.
Yeah, at altitude.
Okay, baby. It's early. It's early.
Too much FitSoda.
Still waking up.
But what do you think... So I saw a lot of talk about the speed of the Avs, right?
Yeah.
The speed and conditioning is what could do this for them because Tampa Bay plays very aggressive and they came off the bat, putting them kind of on their heels, scoring right off the bat. And I think in Denver, being an athlete, training here, training at altitude, this does give you an advantage. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and they train at sea level. I mean, when I go to sea level, I feel like fucking Jason Bourne. I'll be at breakfast, and I'm like, I can sprint for 2 miles that way before I start to black out. Living at altitude is such a advantage in sport and life, I would say.
It's very dry and hot right now, too.
It is.
It sucks.
Were there any fights last night?
I didn't see any. I don't remember.
Like I said, I didn't get to catch the entire game. A simple match.
A civil match.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay's at a disadvantage there. They were talking about it last night about the sluggishness of the team. They also had to play more games leading up to this series, so
they played more games. They had less downtime. Like the Avs came in rested because they blew through that last series. And, in sports, you can attest to this. Momentum is a thing and rest is a thing, especially at these high levels. Like most people see these games and they're like, what does it matter? They got 2 extra days or 4 extra days or whatever.
It's everything.
High level athletes, the more recovery time, the better the performance. And
if you were at a music festival and partying for 4 days and your friends were coming and then you took 2 days off from the festival and rested, and then as your friends got there, you were able to re-party again.
Sounds like my dream, bro.
Now you're
let me chime in on this one.
Those 2 days of rest matter.
Yeah, dude.
You're going to go longer, farther, faster, better. Yeah. No, it means everything. I mean, I think we talk a lot about this just on like the Hydrated Mindset podcast and work in general about, people taking more time to recover. I always talk to you about, I don't get why UFC guys train so hard up to fights. Like why the sparring is so intense, like a week out. You're like, why?
Yeah, it's an unknown thing, really. I mean, it's a weird thing because MMA is religiously overtrained. The guy's overtrained. Every single fighter overtrains.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question too, buddy?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you this and not feel stupid because Chris is also my sensei. And so,
konnichiwa.
See, there he is. There's the guy I know.
We're waking up.
Sometimes too, I feel like the training is so. This again, just an outsider's perspective. I've never coached it. I've never competed at a professional level, but it seems like oftentimes, like even the mitts training is just so archaic. Meaning, like you train mitts and you're like 1, 2 cross. You're like one, left, right, under hook. Some of that shit doesn't ever translate to me. Like, and then you watch a guy like the Irish dude with the purple hair. He looks like a giant Skittle or like a troll.
I know. We're Eskimo brothers. What's his name?
Wait, are you talking about Sean O'Malley?
Yeah.
He's American.
Oh, I thought he was Irish.
It kind of looks like the guy on the Lucky Charms box a little
Welcome to Just a Bit Outside.
Just missed that one.
That's a button for it. So yeah, but when he trains, it's so unorthodox, and all the guys who have unorthodox styles seem to be the ones who win a lot of fights. So sometimes I think the training is like it's just so like repetitive, which I get.
Yeah, so I know what you're saying. So part of that is the coach, right? And then you have to be on the same page to get to that like pad work flow like that. You have to be working with somebody for a really long time and know each other really well and like learn their reactions, learn their favorite counters. It takes a lot of time, but I've known coaches that do it. For me, I like basics. Basic stuff wins. I build up my reaction speeds by training it slow a little bit, then drilling it, and then picking up the speed. The unorthodox stuff works for some guys, but so you're only seeing like the top guys that do it. You know how many guys I see come in the gym and they're like, well, Conor McGregor fights like this. And I'm like, well, you're not fucking Conor McGregor. You just started. So at least learn the basics.
Yeah. When do we practice crane kicks today?
Yeah. So martial arts or fighting is an art form, right? So everybody eventually creates their own style, but they start with the basics. Think about Roy Jones Jr. I mean, he'd put his hands down, moving his head and everything. You know how many guys have tried that and been knocked the fuck out? Like,
no, this is great.
There's always those outliers that can make it work. Like
Didn't he used to throw that? He'd kind of lead and dance around and then kind of throw out the jab. Wasn't that kind of his thing?
Yeah, he would like fade out a little bit, kind of just like flicking it. But then
kind of Muhammad Ali style where he would keep his hands low and
drawing you in.
Yeah.
That takes a certain level of confidence too.
And athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be a little athletic.
You got to be quick.
There should be a whole league in fighting where it's like you wear like really high pants, like Bowery pants, and tuck your shirts, and you have to do like the.
It probably exists in Russia.
Hey, like this kind of fighting.
Yeah.
Like full blown.
Hey, pal. Why'd you pull me over, see?
Yeah, that's all the press things. Like,
Yeah, see?
like how do you feel your opponent? My opponent, you see? He's not.
We have a fight on the 20, you see?
He doesn't have a chance. He's not the cast pajamas like me.
Once we get the new facility, let's just start promoting our own amateur fights, and
Let's
we can
do it.
all of this. It'd be
So wait, go back to though. I've always been curious why. I guess the older that I've gotten, the more I've realized my own limitations. Sort of. And I always wonder why, spending time around you and Anthony and all these guys, like there's like hard sparring coming into the fight. You said it's notoriously overtrained. What does that mean? Because we kind of went off on a tangent, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So, well, the puzzle with MMA that we're still figuring out, people are starting to like dial it in more, is MMA is multiple sports in one, right? So when you play football,
That's what the mix stands for, huh?
when you play football, you go whatever your position is. If you're a lineman, you practice hitting, blocking, rushing the passer, whatever. If you're on offense or defense, you have that position. The quarterback practices routes, practices his footwork, practices passing, handoffs, all that. So they all have like a dialed in position. MMA, you got to do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, all of the
Defense,
above.
offense.
Yeah. And
Conditioning.
so I think the overtraining comes from how do you work all of these things in the week without doubling up on days, without extra long like training sessions, stuff like that. That's where I always struggled, because how do I do strength and conditioning, but also train jiu-jitsu, also do boxing? You also have to spar. You have to do so much that's where the overtraining comes, in my opinion. And they all have to be fairly hard. I mean, it's a physical sport. So I can't go and like hit pads at 10% and still get a workout and also build up the reaction speeds I need and everything else. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Sorry, buddy,
I think that's where that comes from for the most part. And talking about some of this like unorthodox stuff kind of leads us into UFC 275, since we were going to talk about it, because Yuri, I don't know if it's Jiri, what I'm going to call him Yuri.
Yuri's.
So
He
he
has a man bun.
Yeah. God, I hate that hair, first off, but
Yeah, me too.
Why? Yeah, me too.
you should start wearing your hair like his. You got it.
What's
No,
his
don't.
name? How's he wear his hair?
Yuri, just type in Jiri.
Jiri.
That person, yeah.
This guy?
We should shave your whole head except for the top.
I have like most disgusting moles on the side of my head. We're not doing anything like
Attention, ladies.
But look at, did you notice how unorthodox his style was? I mean, you and I watched the fight together.
Yeah. Some of his initial fights to me were really intriguing. Winning fights on back elbows or spinning back elbows. Sort of his where he would switch up stance and the way he sort of moves, I thought was really intriguing. I thought some of his first fights he looked really solid.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a bunch of shit going around now that he's kind of a pussy and people are talking shit.
He's still the UFC champion of the world, so I don't think we can call him a pussy.
I didn't. Those are my
No, I know.
Those aren't my words.
Oh, believe me, I brought in some stuff to
Some
talk
heat.
about from Reddit that can answer some of these questions.
I thought he looked super tough and coming up into this fight, I thought he looked super tough.
His unorthodox style. So the guys that can make the unorthodox stuff work are very hard to train for, because if you're going to fight that guy, who do you bring in as a sparring partner that mimics that? Same with like John Jones. There's like the unknown factor that these guys bring in, and it's very hard to train for.
So you're saying part of the overtraining is also, so you have 7 sports rolled into one, and then each fight, it's not like you've been to Daytona before and raced that track. You're always fighting somebody that has nuances that you're sort of trying to adjust for.
Yeah, and in fighting, there's so many variables. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do. It's human chess, but it's at a very fast pace. So that's where Yuri, whatever, obviously he won the fight. If you watched it, or I'm sure you read about it by now, he won in the 5th round versus Glover, and Glover made a huge mistake going for that guillotine. Now, I'll counter that by saying, people are like, what was he doing? What was he thinking? Well, at that point, like 23 minutes into a fight, you're not exactly thinking logical. You're exhausted,
reacting.
You're beat up. So those kind of comments drive me fucking insane, because they're like, what an idiot. Like, how could he? Like, have you ever tried to do math while I like smack you in the head with a tennis racket? Like, let me know how well you do. I'll stand behind you and fucking smack you in the back of the head with a tennis racket while you try to do elementary school math.
I would even take that a step further. And how about I choke you out from behind and almost make you black out while you're answering questions?
I mean, you're dizzy in there, whether it's exhaustion, getting hit. I mean, Glover was beat up. Both of them were beat up.
Yeah.
So there's so many factors that go into that, and most people have never pushed themselves.
So why was
to that.
everyone talking shit? Like, was it, we had a guy in the office yesterday, who's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was like, wow, man, he's so sweaty. You've trained all your life. If you go for that, he's probably going to slip out. Like, why do you think people are saying that?
Because
I love your point. I do love your point, because the purpose of this show is to put people on blast, including sports analysts who talk shit about, like, this would be a Stephen A. Smith whole segment where you'd be like, bro, I saw you box on YouTube, and you look like a
wet blanket.
Yeah, no, worse than a wet blanket. I'm trying to be insulting. I'm trying to come up with the worst thing I can think of, without being totally mean. You almost like handicapped. You look like you fucking have Bell's palsy.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, bro, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, you're the most unathletic person I've ever seen in my life, but yet you're the most passionate about when athletes who've been through the fire go through some shit. I think you're a dirtbag.
Yeah, people were hating, but the average person doesn't know what that's like, right? So Glover, you got to give it to him.
I love what you're saying. One more time, can you say it? Like, if I were to hit you in the face with a tennis racket, and also wrestle you every few minutes to the ground while you were trying to answer math questions.
Yeah, like if I
25 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You're not thinking logically. You're thinking on the fly. You don't know. You're getting hit. Like, you're actually taking damage.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I don't know, what's a sport with no damage that's fast paced?
Bad tennis.
Yeah, like tennis, okay? Their reaction speeds, sure, they get tired, but like nobody's hitting them also and like taking damage. How fast would tennis players run if they were getting smacked in the legs all the time? Like, you'd be like, wait, why was she so slow?
Yeah. What's a good one is rugby. Rugby's fast and
you take damage.
Lots of aggression, and you take damage, and yeah.
And as the game goes, you slow down because, one, you're tired from just cardio in general.
And getting beat
Two,
up.
the damage. Like, I mean, most people here, like, in the world get a leg cramp and would have to sit down on the curb. What if you got a leg cramp and I was like, keep running a mile? Like,
while I punch you.
Yeah.
And answer me this geography question.
Yeah, I think a lot of criticism comes from like the unknown, and it's easy to sit on the outside. Like we all do it. I fucking do it. I watch football and I'm like, man, that quarterback sucks. Like, what an idiot. Like,
yeah.
And I can't throw the ball like 20 yards. So
yeah,
it happens.
So Glover. So why do you think it was a mistake?
Well, I mean, it was a mistake to me on the outside looking in, but I was sitting over the weekend thinking about it, and I've been in fights where you're beat up, man, and like if you see the finish might be there, you go for it, and he felt like it was there. I mean, Glover is great on the ground. He's got great jiu-jitsu.
Is he a black belt?
Oh yeah, long time. He's a great grappler, and if he felt it, maybe it wasn't the right choice, hindsight, but he went for it, and I'll give him a lot of credit for that. He was looking to finish the whole time. I took a picture of the scorecards. He was up on the scorecards.
Yeah.
And
because you and I were texting, and I was like, he's winning the fight. He's about to win this fight.
It was close for sure. I wasn't positive, so I looked up the scorecards when I left your house.
Yeah.
Because they post them through round 4.
I just thought he looked stronger, too. I thought the damage when he was landing was more intense. Which, by the way, he makes me feel like a turd because he's 42 and he's still fighting. Like, that was a prime championship fight. Like, I don't know how to get it better than that, right? Like, to me, that was one of the better fights I've seen of just two guys going to battle. And the like longevity they had for 5 rounds to take all that damage. And he's 42.
His cardio looked good. I mean, people were like, he was gassed. It's 23 minutes in. Like, if you're not gassed, you're not really pushing.
He was still smiling coming into the last round.
That fight was a back and forth like battle.
It was awesome
the entire time. It was great. And like I heard Chael say, that was arguably one of the best light heavyweight fights of all time.
Yeah,
he thinks it was better than John Jones and Gustafsson. It could have been.
I think it was.
But yeah, I think the criticism is tough, man, because it's nobody's ever been in that position. Very few people have ever been in that position. I haven't been in a 5-round fight ever professionally. I've done in training, with Weidman and stuff, but that's in the gym. There's something to that 5-round fight because I remember the first time I ever did it, Weidman and I would do 5 rounds of sparring, and sparring with him was like fighting, like trying to like knock each other out.
Right.
And after round 3, like I was pretty good. Round 4 started and it felt like 30 minutes later, like between round 3 and round 4, because I'm used to doing 3.
Most people can't do anything for 25 minutes. Can you fuck for 25 minutes? Can you run for 25 minutes? Can you
do all of
could you
the
walk
above.
up and down
Easy.
the stairs for 25 minutes? Can you do anything for 25 minutes that's physical?
Yeah. It's rough. And then you, like I said, the damage factor, everything else.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Chael. I think it was one of the best fights I've seen maybe ever. I just thought that the action, the damage, the strategery going back and forth, Yuki Ugolov, whatever his name is. Yuri got cut real bad. There was that moment of drama.
I don't know if you remember, there was a point when Glover
Chris
was
and
on
I had been
top.
drinking all day at the pool too, so
I went back and
so
rewatched.
sunburnt Monday, dude, when you came
Did I?
downstairs. Yeah, out you're like,
I burned for 20 minutes and then it goes away.
it looked cool though. It was a good look.
I look purple.
Your house is the best because you have like the TV outside at the pool
Oh,
and
the
the
grill.
barbecue.
Yeah.
We were eating like steaks and lamb chops, talking about how look at that guy, he sucks, and we're like getting fat eating steaks.
I'm just a bit outside. You know, dude, but we were doing man shit, and I think more guys should do man shit. You should have your boys over and cook meat outside with your shirt off
We did,
while a fight's on. That's what you should do. I think we've talked about this on another podcast. I think men don't have that in their lives as they get married and have lots of girls like Sharon. A lot of estrogen in that corner over there, and I just think guys should do more man shit like that.
Definitely.
But we had been drinking a bit. You were about to tell me which part.
So-
I didn't remember.
Yuri was actually kind of like congratulating, not talking shit, but congratulating Glover from the bottom while getting beat up. He's like, nice one. But then Glover slipped that elbow that cut him, and that kind of changed.
Yeah, changed his tune.
You know, I think
he cut him bad too.
Those are mental tactics too. Like I've had guys talk to me during fights, and sometimes they try to get in your head. It kind of hypes me up more. Like
Yeah.
I had a guy one time.
Would you just say? Would you say like weird shit? Like, you smell really nice tonight, man.
I've always thought that'd be funny. You know,
That's right.
You smell great, buddy.
I had a guy I was fighting a long time ago. This guy Chad Reiner. He had just come out of the UFC. It was one of my bigger fights, like regionally, because he had already been there. And the whole time,
10 minutes, then we'll be done.
the whole time, I'm on top of him hitting him, and he's like, "You ain't shit." But I was like bouncing his head off the mat. And, like, each time I hit him, he's like,
Thank you, sir, but I have another.
He's like,
Thank
you
you,
hit
sir.
like a bitch. And then finally I just choked him out and was like, who's the bitch now? You know,
So
it does
who's
kind
the-
of like play into your head.
So part of the show is we're obviously going to be reading some threads. Is there some Reddit threads on this fight that?
Yeah,
it's
there's-
unbelievable. So again, two other things we've talked about on this podcast a lot is doing great things in life and having people shit all over you who are internet armchair, bullies. And until you start to do and I didn't notice it until, because I think, I saw this thing last night where a lot of kids are really dealing with, I didn't get it at first, where a lot of kids who game and like they're online all the time, like
They call it gamer words.
the culture is crazy.
It's terrible. I played one of the most brutal games.
No, but people are like going in on each other, which is like whatever, but and then swatting each other and doing all this weird shit. But until you put yourself out there and you do something great, it's hard to understand even what the shit talking does to people.
Yeah.
And how brutal it is and how stupid it is. And it's happened to us at Koios. I mean, we get death
day.
threats every day. I know you've shown me messages about Chris will have a fight. He had a fight in the UFC, let's say, good fight, beats the guy. And then someone will go into his DMs or on his comments and be like, yeah, but you should have died. Like people just talk
You
shit.
should kill yourself.
Yeah.
You see this in Japan? They made online insults punishable a 1 year in prison.
All right. That's a little excessive.
It is excessive.
It's a soft
'cause-
ass world out
but-
there.
Someone killed themselves like a reality star.
No, but hold on. No, this is, and this isn't what the show's about, but this is a really cool topic because
We're just a bit outside.
maybe there is just a bit outside. Maybe there should be some more parenting or certain controls at a certain age. Like we went to the playground and fought and got some insults and whatever, but like at least back then you had to say it to someone's face.
Yeah. Nowadays kids can't escape it.
I know, but if that kid getting all that input is already kind of fucked up and it's just constant, like you're a pussy, you're a pussy, you're a pussy. I get how that could fuck a kid up.
Yeah.
If there's no parent there or people aren't paying attention, or I kind of get how that could happen.
I just always take it as this, like when I would get, hate messages and stuff. I've even told people this before. I'm like, listen, man, you know my name. I didn't even know you existed. The fact that you took time out of your day to come and like say something to me, thanks, man. I appreciate it because you're thinking about me. I don't even know who the fuck you are. And like, what did Brad Pitt say in Troy? He's like, that's why nobody will ever remember your name. You know?
Okay, so what are some of the so the choke thing was the internet blew up. Like you should have never choked him.
Yeah.
Because it was 20 seconds left in the fight. And he loses to a choke. So what are some of the greatest comments that you found in Reddit?
I don't know if they're the greatest because there was a shitload of them, but I just took down a few, like Mr. K1 on our MMA. If you follow Reddit, I'm a big Redditor, so that's why this is
for you, pal.
Yeah, this is for you, pal. He said the moment you're so exhausted that even 20 years experience won't allow you to stay in the fight for 30 more seconds. Listen, Mr. K1, you're probably a fat piece of shit because the fact that you said that means that you have never been so tired before. I don't think Glover tapped. He could have tapped from exhaustion. Who knows? But it's 23 minutes into a fucking fight. Yeah, he's got 20 years of experience. He's a great fighter. Fucking UFC champion. That dude would crush you. So the fact that you want to say like 30 more seconds, I would love to see you run a marathon and then do 30 more seconds.
While Chris and I punch you in the face.
Yeah, like don't
tennis racket on the head.
People like that, like Mr. K1, I guarantee you did not fight in K1, but you like the name because you're a fucking fanboy.
He probably has a big truck with a tap out sticker on the back.
I would challenge you to send any kind of fucking video over here of you doing anything exerting for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, when we get our new office set up at the gym, you can come spar with Chris.
There we go. And if you could last 30 seconds,
we'll give you 10 grand.
He probably was in K1.
I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
Let's run around.
You're not lasting 30 seconds. I'll chase you.
It's kind of an analogy too for like life. Like everyone has a fucking opinion. You know, people will get around and be like, inflation sucks, but no one has anything to like constructive to say about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that with everything in life. Like people just love to tear shit down.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite, you know how many times in the gyms over the years, we've had people walk in that are just like, I want to fight a pro. And like all the coaches know, I'm like, I'll do it. And we've had guys suit up and like, I'll even start late. And usually most people take one punch, one fucking leg kick. Like I'll put you down with one leg kick.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, how do guys do that for so long? Because they're tough as fuck. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Oh, here's a great name. Rugrats theme song. He had two.
Can't wait. I bet this guy's about to drop some knowledge.
The song's heat though.
Let's go.
I mean, his comments weren't that bad, but he said, why did Glover keep going for takedowns? How many times did he go for takedowns only to end up losing position? Because he was getting punched in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Like, one thing Yuri was doing was landing every single punch pretty much. Remember I said that when we were watching? Like, man. And it's not that Glover's defense sucked. I mean, it could be better, but it was the fact that Yuri is so like unorthodox and stuff. So yes, if I walk up and punch you in the face, you're going to fucking try to grab onto me.
I don't even think people understand though. Like when you say punch in the face, you'll have listeners go like, you think of someone like rearing back and punching out. That it could be as simple as you're coming forward and a guy throws a jab that catches you right, catches your eye right, your nose right, or maybe in the mouth, and you can't breathe now. And then he gets a cross in. They may not be like hard punches, but even those little, in my opinion, do damage. They slow you down. They fuck up your program.
Yeah, for the average person, have you ever been walking through your living room and hit your shin on the coffee table and then you had to sit down?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because he's getting punched over and over again. Of course he wants to tie him up. He was winning on the ground. Some of these are
bigger than him. Some
of these, like, they're not even horrible, but they get to me because I'm like, well, just think about it fucking logically. Like,
no.
You know what really grinds my gears? All right, last one. I only wrote down 3 for today, but perfect. I'm going to start getting a bunch more.
Yeah, this is good.
This guy's name is Squid Drive. Glover made so many mistakes in that 5th round, especially with how gassed he was. Again, of course he was fucking gassed. It's 23 minutes of fast-paced fighting. That's like sprinting for 23 minutes with somebody on your back, because in fighting, it's not just like your body. It's not running. It's not anything else. It's like wrestling. There's another person pushing against you. There's another person driving against you, and you're dealing with their like momentum as well. It's exhausting. Of course, they're going to be tired. Every single fucking fight, people are like, he was gassed. if you're not gassed,
You're doing it wrong.
yeah, and it goes
Or
to a
you're
decision.
superhuman, yeah.
You were playing it safe. Neither one of those guys played it safe. They went for broke. The fight was fucking amazing. And I can't wait for the next one because I'm going to really enjoy this segment because I'm probably going to start going in hard.
Good.
Go.
This is the first episode of Just a Bit Outside. The Avs win 4-3.
Let's go
First
Avs,
game over
baby.
the Tampa Bay Lightning. And yeah, the Glover fight was one of the best fights I've seen. And it was awesome. And hats off to Glover. I know you're friends with him. And sounds like an awesome guy on top of
He's the best. Funny. All right, before we go, funny story about Glover. First time I met him.
I keep calling him Glover.
Gloves off to Glover.
Yeah. I was fighting in Brazil, in Rio, and I was I did fight Luis Kane, but Glover was on the card, and he had an opponent fall out, and he was like the co-main event. But it was his first UFC fight, but he was really well known. I didn't know who he was, but he was known in the MMA community. So I called the matchmaker, and I was a 185er at the time. And I was like, I saw it as a chance to be co-main event. So I called him, and I was like, hey, Glover needs an opponent. I'll fight him. And he's
Glover
like,
was 205. You were 185 at the time?
yeah. So the matchmaker's like, hey, thanks
Which
for
is
offering.
ballsy.
We already got a guy. We're bringing in Maldonado to fight him, a Brazilian guy who's already there. I'm like, all right, cool. I get there, I meet Glover, and I was like, Jesus Christ, they saved my life. Glover's like, cuts from like 260, fucking massive. And I was like talking to that guy.
Got
And I
meat
know his
hooks.
coach, and I told his coach, I was like, man, I actually volunteered to fight him. And he was like, oh, fuck. Because I was weighing in at 185 pounds, and he was cutting from like 260.
Thick boy summer.
Oh, man. We didn't even look like the same kind of species.
Boys.
Yeah.
we need that shirt, dude.
And then capping this off, so with Yuri winning,
Free Kane.
you're going to, free Kane right here, baby. You're going to like this. So we got Anthony Smith fighting Ankalaev,
Hey.
and the winner fights
Let's
for the
go.
title. Anthony Smith's our boy here. in
Let's
Koios.
go.
And so if he pulls off this win on this next fight, we're going to see him fight Yuri. And
For the belt.
I've got a lot more to say on that, but we'll save it for another time.
Let's go. That was the first episode of Just a Bit Outside. Free Kane. Don't forget not to die.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside.